Chosen one, before a single word leaves your lips today, pause, feel it. That strange tightness in your chest, the way the minutes feel longer, the odd silence between thoughts. You've felt it, haven't you? This isn't boredom, this isn't confusion. This is a summons. You are not in a void. You are not forgotten. You are standing in the eye of the great realignment, and the stillness wrapping itself around your spirit is not a punishment. It is preparation, because the days ahead are no longer casual. They are not neutral. They are the hinge upon which your timeline is now swinging. Chosen one, you were never meant to wait forever in the hallway. This silence is not a door closing. It's the door breathing before it opens. And when it opens, it does not knock. It does not whisper. It pulls. So listen closely. You're not just watching your life change. You're standing at the very root of it. And the air itself feels heavier for a reason. Not because you're weak, but because the weight of destiny is not light. You're not just feeling random waves of emotion. You're encountering the early echoes of the calling you've tried to delay. But there is no more room to delay, because the world you've known is already dissolving. And here is what no one told. Most people don't recognize the moment before their entire life changes. But you are awake enough to feel it, this quiet ache inside you. It's not confusion, it's the beginning of becoming. And yes, you're allowed to tremble, you're allowed to question, but you are no longer allowed to turn away. Not now. Not when the skies are splitting and the earth beneath your feet has memorized your name. You have not imagined the signs, the flickering lights, the repeated numbers, the sudden dreams, the way strangers seem to speak directly to your soul in casual conversation. These are not coincidences. These are the coordinates, the whispers before the roar. And now, the roar is near. Chosen one, I know you're tired. I know your patience has bled dry in the waiting. But you weren't waiting for the world to fix itself. You were being fortified, layer by sacred layer, stripped of what was not truly you. You thought you were standing still, but stillness is never the absence of movement. It is sacred recalibration. It is the breath before the thunder. And now, the thunder is rolling. You are not standing at the edge of change. You are the change. You are the fracture in the old system. You are the portal through which divine realignment enters the room. But with that roll comes weight. And yes, the weight is real. So if it hurts, good. That means the false layers are tearing. That means the disguise no longer fits. That means the light inside you is no longer willing to stay dimmed just to keep others comfortable. And here is the truth no one wants to hear. The people you love may not understand what's happening inside you. They might mock the path, they might label the process, they might leave. Let them. You were never meant to bring everyone with you. Some were just shadows in your winter. Some were just echoes of the you that was, and others, beloved though they were only meant to teach you how to walk away. Because now it is time to walk forward, even if your legs shake, even if no one claps, even if the applause never comes. This walk is not about recognition, it is about reclamation of your voice, of your sight, of your assignment. Yes, you have an assignment. And no, it doesn't come with step-by-step instructions, because the instructions live in you, etched into your breath, written across your spine, encoded in every heartbreak that didn't kill you. You were not broken. You were initiated. Into what? Into the truth. And truth, beloved, is never gentle. It doesn't ask permission. It shatters illusions. It rips off veils. It calls your name louder than your fear. You hear it now, don't you? That pull, that pressure, that unshakable knowing that something has shifted. You're not imagining it. You're just finally seeing it for what it is. The collapse is not chaos. It's divine demolition. The unraveling is not failure. It's the shedding of the shell. The confusion is not weakness. It's the mind screaming while the soul reclaims control. So breathe, let the fire rise, let it burn through the roles, the names, the expectations. You were never meant to perform, you were born to pierce. What if the weight in your chest isn't pressure, but prophecy? Not everyone can feel it. But if you're still here, reading this, it means your spirit is tuned to a frequency most have forgotten. Don't keep this awakening to yourself. Type "I claim this alignment" in the comments to anchor your shift. And if this message echoed something buried in your bones, hit subscribe. Not to follow, but to stay in rhythm with the truth that refuses to dim. This is not entertainment. This is instruction. And if you know it, really know it, then you're already becoming the proof. To awaken, to stir timelines, to speak truths that crack open sleeping hearts. And yes, that kind of truth-telling will cost you. But you are no longer living on borrowed breath. You do not belong to their boxes. You do not belong to yesterday's version of yourself. And this moment is not your breakdown. It is your breakthrough. Do not expect the path to light up before your feet move. Faith doesn't work that way. Faith is the footstep in the dark. Faith is the voice that says go, even when you're gasping for air. Faith is the flicker that survives the storm. And chosen one, you are the flicker. You are the storm. You have not been abandoned. You have been refined. Every silence, a shaping, every delay, a sharpening, every no, a rerouting toward the yes that actually fits. You don't have to understand all of it yet. You just have to answer. And answering doesn't mean shouting. It means showing up as you are, right now. Messy, uncertain, tired, awake. Because awakening is not clean, it's raw, it's holy, it's fire under the skin and lightning in the bones. And that electricity, it's not anxiety, it's recognition, it's your soul remembering its role. It's your spirit stretching, shedding, rising. So let it rise, even if your hands tremble, even if your voice shakes, even if the room grows cold, even if the world doesn't understand, especially if it doesn't understand, because you weren't made to fit in. You were made to initiate a new frequency. And this frequency, it is not polite, it is not passive, it is not interested in playing small, it is precise, it is divine, it is disruptive, and it is yours. So claim it. Let this be the moment you stop begging for signs and become one. Let this be the moment you stop shrinking and start roaring. Let this be the moment you stop hoping for change and start commanding it. Because the stillness you feel is not the end, it is the beginning. And beginnings, chosen one, are where the real magic lives. Chosen one, what you're standing in right now. It may feel like a collapse, but collapse is not always a curse. Sometimes it's the final exhale of a life you were never meant to keep. It may feel like something precious is being taken. But what if it's being returned? Returned to the fire. Return to the truth. Return to the place where all sacred things are reborn. Listen closely, this unraveling. It's not your destruction, it's your delivery. You asked to be aligned. You prayed for clarity. You whispered to the stars, show me my path. And now the path is showing, not with ease, but with exposure. The parts of you that survived by pretending, they're falling. The masks you wore to protect yourself, they're cracking. The relationships that once made you feel seen, they now feel like cages. And no, you're not going crazy. You're going honest. And honesty will burn through everything you built on fear. But chosen one, do not fear the flame, because this fire has memory. It knows you. It remembers what you were before the pretending, before the pleasing, before the delay. You've been asking for change, but the soul doesn't renovate. It rebirths, and rebirth is never neat. It looks like chaos. It feels like confusion. It echoes like endings. But what it really is permission. Permission to begin again, not as the version they shaped, but as the one your soul remembers. Let it all fall, chosen one. The plans, the labels, the people who only loved your shadows. Let them all return to dust, Because you, beloved, are being rebuilt in sacred sequence. Every breakdown is a blueprint. Every ache is an architect. Every silence is scaffolding for the life that fits your truth. So stop asking why it's all crumbling and start asking what is trying to emerge from beneath it, because something is. And it is not small. You were never small. You only shrank to fit into rooms that didn't have space for the magnitude you carry. And now that magnitude is pressing through the cracks. Louder, brighter, more urgent than ever. You feel it, don't you? The discomfort, the disconnection, the subtle resistance from people who once swore they understood you. That's not rejection, that's realignment. Because as you rise, your frequency shifts and everything not built in truth begins to shake. Let it shake. Let the counterfeit fall. Let the surface level attachments drift away. You are not losing anything real. You are being refined to hold something greater. Greater peace, greater purpose, greater power. But power without truth is poison. That's why truth comes first. That's why everything false must go. Even if it looks like heartbreak, even if it feels like grief, because grief is not always about death. Sometimes it's the mourning of an identity that can no longer survive in the light you've become. And you've become light, not borrowed light, not conditional light, not light that dims for acceptance, but rooted, radiant, reckless light. The kind that doesn't ask permission, the kind that clears rooms, the kind that calls storms to attention. You've stopped whispering, haven't you? Not because you found the words, but because you finally stopped doubting the sound of your own voice. And that voice, it's not just yours, it's ancient. It's encoded with the frequencies of every version of you that dared to survive, that dared to love, that dared to rise. You are the culmination of every sacred no that ever birthed a truer yes. And now you're standing in the threshold. The before is collapsing, the after hasn't arrived, and here you are, trembling and chosen. This space between, it's sacred. It's the birthplace of miracles, not loud ones, not dramatic ones, but the kind that reshape the bones of your becoming. So don't rush this, don't numb it, don't try to glue together what was never real. Sit with the rubble, touch the ache. Look directly at the thing you've been avoiding, because in that gaze, you reclaim your power. The power to let go, the power to walk away, the power to no longer pretend. You're not who you were, and pretending to be will only delay what's already reaching for you. You don't have to beg anymore. The right alignments don't require desperation. They recognize your energy. They move toward it. They bend to it. But only when you're brave enough to stop carrying the weight of what no longer matches your frequency. So drop it. Drop the story. Drop the guilt. Drop the maybe one day. This is not a rehearsal. This is the unveiling. And you, chosen one, are not here to perform. You are here to reveal, and the reveal will offend those who benefited from your silence. It will rattle those who mistook your waiting for weakness. It will disappoint those who only loved the version of you that didn't yet know its worth. Let it. Your job is not to be palatable. Your job is to be true, to the voice within, to the knowing that never left, to the blueprint that's been unfolding in the dark. And that blueprint, it's glowing now, not softly, not subtly, but like fire under your skin. You were built for this breaking. You were born for this moment. The collapsing is the evidence, not of loss, but of arrival. So rise slowly, deliberately, with eyes wide open and spine tall. No need to explain, no need to justify. Your alignment is your authority. Your discernment is your direction, and your becoming. It's not pending, it's in motion. Let it move, let it break, let it birth. Because the life you're stepping into can't be constructed on the foundation of what was built to keep you small. And you were never small, chosen one. There is a silence that no one warns you about, not the kind outside, but the one that hums inside your bones when everything familiar fades. You feel it, don't you? a heaviness in your chest that has no name, a pause in the middle of your own laughter, a sense that even in a crowded room, your soul is walking alone. This is not sadness, this is separation, not from people, but from patterns, not from the world, but from the illusions that once tethered you to it. And though your heart aches for the comfort of belonging, it knows, it remembers. This loneliness is not a punishment. It is a precursor, because when the soul is preparing to rise, it withdraws from noise, from distraction, from the familiar vibrations that once felt like home, but were only a holding place. You are not abandoned, you are being lifted. And the altitude, it thins the crowd. You are walking where few choose to go, not because you think you're better, but because you answered when others stayed asleep. And awakening chosen one is not a group activity. It begins in isolation, in the silent corners of your becoming, in the quiet moments where no one is watching, when you stop waiting to be seen and finally start seeing yourself. But make no mistake, this path is not for the faint. You will miss people who never truly saw you. You will grieve rooms that never held your full light. You will mourn the safety of invisibility, because now you are glowing in ways you can't switch off. And those who clung to the old version of you, they will shift. Some will pull away. Others will push harder. Not because you are wrong, but because your evolution exposes their stillness. Let them shift, let them distance, let them question your silence, your glow, your pull away from noise. You are not drifting, you are ascending, and not everyone is equipped for that elevation. You've outgrown the need to explain. You've outgrown the need to convince. You've outgrown the need to stay small, just to avoid making others uncomfortable. This loneliness, it is holy, because the higher you rise, the quieter it becomes. And that quiet is not empty. It is concentrated power. It is the voice of the divine growing louder in your soul. It is the whisper of your calling turning into a command. It is the stillness in which you finally remember you were never lost. You were being led. And every detour, every delay, every door that slammed in your face was a sacred redirection. But now, the detours are done. Now, it's you and the wind, you and the road, you and the echo of your own truth ringing louder than the doubt. And yes, there are days when your feet will tremble. There are days when you will long to run back to what was. But the threshold has already been crossed, and nothing back there fits anymore. You don't recognize the person who once begged for approval. You don't resonate with the stories that once defined your limits. Because you, chosen one, have stepped out of time. You are walking in alignment now, and alignment is lonely, but it is also precise. It clears, it corrects, it removes what is misaligned without apology. You will lose things you thought you needed, people you thought were permanent, versions of yourself you thought were essential. And each loss will feel like a wound until you realize it was a weight, and the lighter you become, the higher you rise. But rising is not glamorous. It is not a stage. It is not applause. It is not validation. It is quiet. It is sacred. It is the kind of becoming that breaks every rule you were taught about success. Because you are not here to perform, you are here to pierce, and your presence alone is unsettling everything that cannot hold your truth. Yes, people will misread your silence. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you've pulled away. They'll say you've forgotten them. Let them speak, because if they really knew your spirit, they'd know this solitude is not avoidance. It is obedience. Obedience to your soul's highest timing. Obedience to the frequency pulling you forward. Obedience to the unseen alignment that needs your full, undivided self. You do not owe your energy to every hand that reaches. You do not owe your presence to every space that remembers your past. You owe yourself truth, and truth, chosen one, is often a lonely room, but it is also a room where real power begins. So stay there. Stay in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Stay in the silence between what's ending and what's arriving. Stay where your soul can breathe without explaining, because it is in that breath that the next step becomes clear. And no, the clarity may not come in full sentences. It may not arrive with perfect instructions, but your spirit will know. And that knowing, it's your compass. Let it guide you, even if no one else understands, especially if no one else understands. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be unalterably real, to walk as the signal, to live as the vibration, to rise as the proof, and that rise requires silence. It requires distance. It requires that you let go of the need to be held by anyone other than the divine. Because the divine is holding you. It always has been. And this loneliness you feel, it's not the absence of love. It's the removal of noise. So you can finally hear the only voice that truly matters, your own, chosen one. The noise has been relentless, hasn't it? Not just the outer noise, the opinions, the projections, the whispers of those who never dared to walk the fire you were sent through, but the internal noise too. The doubt that comes dressed as logic, the fear that parades as caution, the silence that sometimes screams louder than words, and yet beneath all of it, there is a voice, faint at first, then steady, then sovereign. You know the one that speaks without sound, the one that returns when you've silenced every other frequency, the one that never begs for attention because it knows you'll eventually return. That voice is not your mind. It is not your emotion. It is not even your hope. It is your alignment. And now, more than ever, you must learn to trust it, because the days ahead, they will not be guided by the world's understanding. They will not bow to consensus, to reason, or to reassurance. They will demand conviction, conviction that comes not from seeing, but from knowing. And you, chosen one, you have always known, even in your most confused moments, even when your heart trembled beneath the weight of delay, even when your tears blurred the direction, your spirit never stopped pointing. But pointing without proof requires trust. And trust, when the ground is shaking, feels like madness. Still you must walk, still you must obey, because the map is not outside you. It is not in the signs, the validation, the path others take. It is written within. And now that voice, the one you spent years trying to silence to fit in, has become too loud to ignore. It's no longer a whisper in the background. It's the only thing that makes sense. Yes, others will try to speak over it. They'll offer advice wrapped in fear. They'll plead with you to be realistic. They'll beg you to wait, to shrink, to soften, not because they wish you harm, but because your certainty confronts their avoidance. Don't let their fear become your compass. Let your inner voice be louder, even when you don't have the words to explain it, even when you feel alone in your choices, even when your own mind screams for logic. Because alignment rarely makes sense to the mind. It is the domain of the soul. And your soul has heard something others haven't. A frequency, a command, a calling that interrupts every plan you thought was permanent. And now, you're here, standing on sacred ground. Not because of what's around you, but because of what's stirring within you. That stirring, it's not restlessness. It's readiness, the readiness to move even if no one walks beside you, the readiness to release even if the future is invisible, the readiness to step forward, not because the way is lit, but because the voice within you won't let you stay. You were not built to linger in the waiting room. You were forged for the crossing, and the crossing requires silence, because only in silence can the voice inside become a roar. It doesn't need to be loud to be certain. It doesn't need to be dramatic to be divine, but it must be trusted. So if you've been looking for a sign, this is it. The fact that you're still listening, the fact that something in you won't let go of this message, the fact that your chest tightens at these words, that's not coincidence, that's confirmation. You've asked the universe to speak. It is speaking through you, the way your body reacts, the chills, the heaviness, the weight that lifts when you dare to obey. That's resonance, and resonance is truth echoing through your bones. Do not betray it. Even if it tells you to leave the familiar, even if it tells you to disappoint others, even if it tells you to become unrecognizable to who you were last year, because your spirit doesn't care about image. It cares about integrity, and that integrity cannot live in a body that refuses to act on what it already knows. So if you're still waiting for permission, let this be the moment you remember. You are the permission. You are the signal. You are the shift. You are the proof that alignment is not found, it's activated. And you activate it every time you trust the voice no one else hears. Every time you say yes to what only you can feel. Every time you walk when logic tells you to sit. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you strengthen the current. And that current is carrying you somewhere sacred. But sacred places aren't always scenic. They don't always come with clarity. They come with courage, and courage is not loud. It's the quiet yes that echoes through resistance. It's the trembling step that still moves forward. It's the moment you whisper, "I trust myself," into the dark. Because you must. You must trust that what you're hearing is real. You must trust that what you're feeling is not delusion. You must trust that the reason you can't fit where you used to is because you've outgrown every version of you that needed to be understood. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be embodied. And embodiment doesn't ask for applause. It asks for consistency. So be consistent with your knowing. Be relentless in your obedience. Be fierce in your listening. Not to the outer noise, but to the ancient rhythm within. Because that rhythm, it is the drumbeat of your becoming. It is the code breaking open in your breath. It is the sound of the old timelines crumbling beneath your new alignment. So let them fall. Let the people fall away. Let the plans dissolve. Let the promises you made in fear disintegrate in the light of truth. You're not failing, you're shedding. And what remains is real. Let that be enough. Let that be holy. Let that voice inside you speak louder than every doubt. Because the world doesn't need another polished persona. It needs your realness, your discernment, your obedience to a voice no one else can hear. The voice that says, "This is the way. Keep walking. You were never meant to turn back." Chosen one. You've been watching things slip from your grasp. Not just objects, not just people, but versions of yourself that you held with both hands. And it hurts, doesn't it? But what if I told you? It's not falling apart, it's falling into place, because everything that falls now was never rooted in your becoming. Everything you are losing was never designed to survive the vibration you are stepping into. You've outgrown what was once essential, the masks, the identities, the stories that gave you shelter when you didn't yet know your power. They served their season, but they are not meant for your arrival, and that's why they're falling. Let them. Let the pieces scatter. Let the chapters close. Let the connections fade without needing to resurrect them. You are not here to salvage what was built on your silence. You are here to embody what has been whispering to your spirit since before time began. You asked for clarity. This is what it looks like, not polite, not peaceful, but honest, unforgivingly honest, because the truth will not negotiate with your attachments. The truth loves you too much to let you settle for imitation. It will strip you, expose you, confront you, and yes, at first it will feel like loss. But this is not subtraction, this is refinement. Everything falling away is clearing space, sacred space, space for alignment, space for purpose, space for the you that doesn't flinch when the familiar disappears. Because here's what no one says. The familiar is not always the faithful, and comfort is not always a compass. You can no longer measure love by how long it stayed. You must now measure it by how deeply it aligned. And if it left, if they walked. If it ended, then trust this. It was not yours to carry beyond this threshold. You see, chosen one, the doorway you're stepping through now, it's narrow. Not because you're small, but because only truth can fit, only essence, only what has been forged in the silence and tempered in the ache. So don't try to drag the dead weight with you. Don't try to keep what your spirit already released. Every attempt to hold what's falling only delays your rising. You are not being asked to fix. You are being asked to release, even if it has a face, even if it once held your heart, even if your mind begs for closure. Because closure is not a conversation. It is a decision, the decision to stop watering what has already turned to ash. So breathe. You are not being punished, you are being purified. This ache, this confusion, this ache of letting go, it's holy. Because to rise, you must become lighter. And weight is not just what's on your shoulders. It's what clings to your memory, to your expectations, to your illusions of permanence. But permanence is an illusion. Only alignment remains. And what aligns with your rising will never require you to shrink. It will not ask you to betray your knowing. It will not beg you to dilute your light. It will not tremble at your truth. So if it leaves, let it. Let the part of you that still romanticizes the past sit in silence long enough to understand you are not going back. Not because it was evil, not because it was wrong, but because you are becoming something it cannot contain. This is sacred shedding, and shedding is not glamorous. It's quiet, it's lonely, it's the kind of grief that arrives without a funeral. But you must grieve it anyway. Grieve the people who only loved your brokenness. Grieve the spaces that praised your silence. Grieve the timelines that promised safety in exchange for stagnation. Because the truth is, they were never truly yours. They were assignments, they were mirrors, they were catalysts, but they were never destinations. And now, the destination is calling, louder than ever, and it's not a place, it's not a person, it's a frequency, one that demands everything that isn't real fall away. And as it does, you will feel raw, exposed, vulnerable. But vulnerability is not weakness. It is alignment without armor. It is walking into the storm with nothing but your truth. And that, chosen one, is your power. Because when everything false falls, only the indestructible remains. Your essence, your clarity, your knowing, your mission. And mission cannot coexist with clutter. Mission cannot rise where memory reigns. Mission cannot bloom where your feet are planted in old soil. So move, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. Move, and if it hurts, let it. Pain is not the enemy. Attachment is. The illusion that something must stay to be sacred. The lie that loyalty requires self-abandonment. The belief that holding on is always strength. But sometimes strength is found in surrender. In unclenching your fists, in standing still as the dust settles, in whispering thank you to what no longer fits. Because what's coming won't look like what you lost. It will be brighter, quieter, more solid, more subtle. It won't demand your attention. It will earn your presence because it will recognize you, not the you you've performed, not the you they preferred, but the real you, the one you're finally allowing to stand without apology. That version of you doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't cling, it receives, it doesn't shrink, it expands. And to expand, you must release. Everything that falls away was never meant to stay, so let it fall and watch. What remains was always meant to rise with you. Chosen one. This is not a conclusion. This is a convergence. Every ache, every silence, every unanswered prayer, they've led you here. Not to a finish line, but to a threshold. And now, something ancient stirs. Not outside you, not above you, but deep within, beneath the layers they gave you, beneath the names they taught you to respond to, beneath the masks you wore to make the world comfortable. There, in the center of your being, a truth is rising, one you always knew but never dared to say aloud. You are not waiting for the light. You are the light. Not borrowed light, not reflected light, not conditional or dependent or second-hand radiance, but origin, but source, but fire, and this fire cannot be negotiated anymore. It will not dim to soothe others. It will not flicker to fit in. It will not be hidden beneath logic or delay, because now the universe is listening to what you embody, not just what you say. And it recognizes its own light in you. You've mistaken this pressure for punishment. It's not. It's the container cracking. It's the shell splitting. It's the moment the seed remembers it's a tree. You are not being undone. You are being unveiled. And yes, it will look messy. Yes, some will misread your glow as arrogance. Some will question your peace. Some will try to reattach to the version of you they could control. Let them wonder. You do not owe access to your frequency just because others feel entitled to it. You are not a public utility. You are not a mirror for their comfort. You are a mirror for truth, and truth reflects without flinching. So reflect boldly. Reflect without apology. Let your life become a vibration. Let your presence become a permission slip. Let your journey become the evidence, because the world doesn't change through declarations. It shifts through demonstrations. And now, chosen one, your life is the demonstration. You are no longer speaking about healing. You are becoming the space in which healing occurs. You are no longer praying for alignment. You are walking in it. You are no longer looking for signs. You are becoming one. You are the spark they feel when they don't understand why they're drawn to you. You are the calm that makes people second-guess their own chaos. You are the silence between words that speaks louder than explanation. You are what you once begged for, and because of that, you are now being called to hold it. Not with fear, not with trembling hands, but with conviction, because the days ahead are not random. They are precise, they are sacred, they are encoded with instructions that only your spirit can decipher, which is why you must stay tuned. Tuned to your knowing, tuned to the stillness, tuned to the place in you that never forgot the assignment. You didn't come here to fix the old systems. You came here to replace them, not with noise, not with war, but with frequency. And frequency never begs to be heard. It simply resonates. You no longer need to convince. You only need to exist. And your existence, your breath, your choices, they are all signals. So send clear signals. Walk as though the ground is listening. Speak as though the wind remembers. Choose as though the stars are echoing your alignment, because they are. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the echo of its original intention. And now, that intention is coming into form, in you, through you, as you. So what will you choose? To shrink again, to delay again, to pretend that this fire is too bright, too much, too unsafe? Or will you finally say, I am ready? Not because everything makes sense, not because all the pain is gone, but because you've remembered who you are in spite of it. The fire was not a test, it was a revelation, and what it revealed was not a version of you that needed to be fixed, but a version of you that needed to be freed. Freed from the stories, freed from the timelines, freed from the waiting, because, chosen one, you were never meant to wait. You were meant to walk, to rise, to radiate, to disrupt, to awaken. And now, the time for preparation is gone. The waiting room has emptied. The silence has served its purpose. Now it is time to step forward as the answer you've been waiting to receive. Let that be your clarity. Let that be your compass. Not who accepts it, not who claps, not who stays, but who you become when you no longer need to be chosen, because you have chosen yourself. And that choice, that's the real miracle. Not the manifestation, not the outcome, not the applause, but the choice to live as though the divine breathes through you, because it does. And in that breath is everything you need. Power, peace, protection, provision, all of it, already encoded, already activated, already here. So now, chosen one, walk into the coming days not like you're hoping for the light. Walk like you remember, you are the light. And nothing real can dim it now. And now that you remember, You will walk differently. Not faster, not louder, but truer. There is a quiet fire beneath your ribs now, one that no longer seeks approval, one that no longer waits for permission, one that no longer explains what was divinely designed. You do not need to prove that you are ready. You are the proof. Your breath is the evidence. Your clarity is the sign. Your stillness is the storm they never saw coming. Because this light you carry, it was not given by the world, so the world cannot dim it. It was not handed to you in comfort. It was carved into you through pressure, through fire, through the loneliness of walking a path no one else could see. And now, you no longer ask, "Am I prepared?" Now, you simply step. Now, you simply speak. Now, you simply embody what you once searched for. Let others wonder. Let the noise rise and fall like waves. Let the doubt try to creep in, because the one thing that will never shake is the knowing in your bones that says you are the light, and the darkness has always known it.